Gavin nu știe cum funcționează fântâna. This is the first time when you do this.
This is the first time, yeah. I need to.
You are gonna YouTube it. How?
This is.
How to? That's so interesting that I'm with you when you firstly get water out of the ground. Oh, it's full. Good job, Gavin. So this is just your first time. Good job. High five. You just got water. Only 99 problems left. Hello, dear friends. I'm here with my special guest, who is Gavin. Gavin is from UK, and he's doing a cyclo-touring around the globe. He started from UK and he's going to Istanbul for the...
Istanbul is stage one, yeah.
Stage one, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And from Istanbul, you are gonna go
Across Turkey,
and
then Georgia and Azerbaijan.
Georgia, Azerbaijan. From Baku, you're gonna take the ferry
Across the Caspian Sea to Kazakhstan.
Yep.
And then into Uzbekistan, and then I'd like to go on the Pamir Highway, which goes through Tajikistan and with the border of Afghanistan, but it follows a road through the Pamir Mountains all the way to Kyrgyzstan.
Oh, this is Kyrgyzstan.
This is Kyrgyzstan, yes. And then I think once I get to Kyrgyzstan, I think maybe my journey will come to an end. That's the second stage.
Around here somewhere? Or
the end of the Sari Tash is the end of the end of the highway, but I think the road goes all the way to the Osh there. I think Sari Tash and Osh this is the road in Kyrgyzstan, which is I think part of the route still.
And you think you're gonna end the trip in Osh?
I think I'd have to get to Bishkek, which is the capital of Kyrgyzstan, because I think there's no airport here. Yeah.
And from Bishkek.
And then I think from Bishkek, I'll probably fly home, or otherwise go to Almaty is the capital of Kazakhstan. Could always just go and see some more places in the world.
Until the flight.
We'll see which flight is the cheapest one home at the time.
Wow. Yes. And until now you've been riding for 1 month.
Yeah, 1 month exactly. Actually. Yeah.
And did 3,000 kilometers?
That's neat. It is. I think. What are we on total? I think So I think tomorrow will top 3,000 kilometers tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Good.
So yeah, it's a long way.
I'm also encouraging the people who are watching us to make a Warm Showers account and to have visitors like Gavin, and to give him a helpful hand hosting him, and I don't know, have this hosting experience and hearing incredible stories such as yours.
Yeah. And Warm Showers is excellent because you do meet people from the country that you are visiting and get to see inside your home and talk with them for the evening. And I've never once had a bad experience yet. I've never heard anyone who has. And it's just really useful when the weather has been really bad for the last few weeks, that sometimes it is just nice just to literally have a warm shower.
Well, you see, I think warm showers, it's linked to the how we said, the wave.
You're on the same wavelength with, as in you like cycling, I like cycling.
Yes.
And so it's slightly different from couch surfing, as in there's similarities, but as in instantly that you're going to have a mutual hobby or understanding interest. Yes.
But I was thinking that someone with a lower wavelength would not make an account on Warm Showers because they don't see work this way.
Yeah.
I was curious to ask, did you had a lot of warm showers?
I've had a
people
few
until here.
Yes, yeah, I've had a reasonable amount in Switzerland. So I think I had 2 in France, and then which was the very first time I used it. But then in Switzerland was very useful because there was not as many campsites in Switzerland as there were in France. In Germany, it was also very useful because it was raining and snowing. So that was very useful for when that happened. But then, yeah, when the weather is okay, you can. There's plenty of campsites on the Danube. That was okay. But then, yeah, every now and then. So as I had 1 or 2 in Austria, and maybe it was 1. But I stayed with friends in Vienna. I think there was just 1 in Austria, and then I had 1 in Bratislava and 1 in Budapest because staying in the cities sometimes it was just a little bit. There's usually quite a lot of hosts available in the cities, and sometimes it's just a little bit easier than because if you're with a bike in a city, sometimes you worry about where to lock your bike if you're staying in a hostel. So that's been quite useful. But then I camped through Hungary. I stayed in a hostel yesterday in Timisoara.
Oh, in a hostel?
No, actually, yes. It had a hostel, but it was a bike-friendly hostel in Timisoara, and it was nice for a bed for the night. And then
good. Did you stay between the hosts from Warsaw? Did you stay in hotels, hostels?
No, so hostel. Yesterday was the first time I've actually used a hostel.
Yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, but otherwise I've just been in my tent.
In the tent.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I've stayed in. I've only been in. I've actually just stayed in campsites. I haven't wild camped yet. But I've met people that have wild camps every now and then. But when you're camping, I think it's just nice. I'm happy to pay for a campsite as long as it's not too expensive. 1 for safety, but 1 you can have a shower, and you can. It's just easy to wash your stove. You have water available. So it's just
some facilities.
Just facilities.
What's the price
for camping? So in France it was €7.50 for the municipal ones, and I haven't paid more than €10. I don't think I haven't paid more than €10.
Well,
in Hungary, I think it was under €5 in Hungary, where I went, and then last night was €10 for a hostel in Timisoara. So you think for a bed, I don't have to say. I was just like, I want after a long day yesterday. I just wanted a bed to sleep in, and for €10 it's not too dissimilar to the price of a campsite.
That's what I wanted to say, that in Romania you can find houses for this price, like pensions or hostels. And you said that in the last few days you made like more than 100 kilometers per day.
Yes, I've done 420 kilometers in the last 3 days. So I've got a flight to catch in Sofia next Saturday, so I want to get to Sofia for Friday, because then I have a warm showers host who said he would keep my bike for the week, because I need to fly home for a wedding. So
he's going back for the wedding.
Yeah, so because I booked my flights there from Sofia, I have a bit of a race to get to. So that's hence why the big days, the big days.
Then you're gonna get back to the slower ones.
Then I'll be a slower. Once I come back to continue my journey, I can just I don't have to be worrying about going hard every day.
I'm curious, and also for the people who are gonna see the video, what were the hard times during this month?
I mean, the hardest time is when
did you have problems or?
So I haven't. Mechanical problems. I wouldn't say mechanical problems have been hard. I had a bolt snap in the frame, which I had to take to someone to drill the bolt out. But that wasn't really a problem, and I haven't had any mechanical problems. So that's been used. I had a puncture on day 2, which was a bit annoying, but that was easy to fix.
Yes.
Luckily, I haven't had any punctures since. The hardest is when it was close to Budapest. It was cold. It was I think it was 8 degrees with a northerly wind. It was cold. It was pouring with rain. And I was tired, and it was just.
Yes, but you also have the right equipment.
Yeah.
This is also not a problem. If it's raining,
you can put your coat on, but I was wet. I was just soaking wet. Everything was wet. I was because once you start sweating as well on the inside, and it's difficult.
It's raining from both parts.
Yeah,
from inside and outside.
So that was a problem. So that was the lowest point was close to Budapest, where it was just. I'm just soaking wet, so I had a day in Budapest then to wash all my gear and dry it all, which was lucky. So
wow.
That was needed.
I'm asking you because a lot of people are not doing trips like this because they are afraid of the adventure. They don't know what can happen.
Exactly.
Or if somebody robs me, or if where do I sleep? Where?
Yeah. I think you have. I think. Part of it you have to be naive, and I think also I think you have to go with the belief that most people in the world are nice. As in, I think bad news is on the news a lot, and it almost makes it's easier to sell bad news than good news.
It doesn't represent the reality.
Exactly. And
I mean, the bad news are probably small amount of the
exactly,
whole,
and you hear the bad news. It's much easier to tell the bad news than the good news. I think just leaving the front door, just making that first step is probably the hardest. And then you think the first few days I was in France, and you're not used to it. Your body hurts. I think day 4 or 5 is the hardest.
Your body says, go back home.
Exactly. You just want to have I think day 4 or 5 is always the hardest, and you just think, I'm tired. You think, what am I doing?
If it is boring to the long rides, when it's flat.
That's what in Germany it was. For the bit, this very beginning of the Danube was a little bit just featureless, because there was the river, but they have put a dam in for a lot of it, so it's just the water doesn't really move very much. So there's just lots of people fishing, and then a very, very flat landscape either side. But then that was only for a couple of days, and then you go into Austria, and then everything changes. You just cross a border, and it's really interesting how you cross a border, and almost instantly something changes about either the countryside or the people, the language, or it can just be something really simple, as in you cross from France into Switzerland, and it was almost the colour of the grass and the flowers was different. As in, I think the grass seemed greener and the flowers seemed more yellow. I don't know if that was the weather, but it genuinely seemed like that when you're so used to just your surroundings every day, and then you can just see. And then I think because then we went from France to Switzerland, and then Switzerland to Germany was the difference because Switzerland is expensive.
The grass was.
You just go back to Germany was so cold, but it was just going back into a cheaper country again, because Switzerland was just so expensive. But you crossed into Germany, and it was just flat, much more flat. As in especially. It was just flat and featureless, as in I can't really explain it much more than with the areas that I were, and then you follow the Danube. It was from Passau you cross into Austria, but the valley of the Danube then is really noticeable, because then instead of it just being a flat either side, it was a valley with the trees and the hills either side, and it was meandering around, and it's just really nice to cycle in. And you end up the section between Passau and Linz is a very popular section. I think a lot of people go from Passau to Vienna. That's a very popular section of the route.
Well, I ask you this because when we discussed, I thought that, and everyone can agree that it's really nice to visit the world through the bike and to meet people and stuff, but I know that there are the boring parts.
Oh yes,
when you travel from one house to another, and it's the 100 kilometers that you need to ride.
I've been asked this question a lot, as in people say, "Oh, what do you think about?" And it's really hard to put into words what you think about, because it's almost like your life has become so simple. So you think when you're like at work every single day, and that's all you've been thinking about, and that's what you're used to, and then suddenly you've decided to stop all of that and decided to be on your bike, and the day is just broken down into really little chunks. So as in you're looking for the next 5 kilometers. So as in I have my watch on me and it beeps every 5 kilometers, and it's almost just not counting down, but you think, right, in 5 kilometers time I will find the next bench and I will stop at the next bench for food, and then you think about, oh, what am I going to have for food, and then you're looking at how much water you have, and then you're thinking, oh, I need to find somewhere to fill my water bottles, and then a lot of it is just concentrating on the road. You think about stuff from home. You think about stuff, what I'm going to do tomorrow. Or just thinking about things from the past.
Of course, I know that during cycling there is plenty of time for all the thoughts in the world.
And I haven't got. I think people ask me. They say, "Are you bored with your own company?" And I mean, at the moment, I'm not. I don't think I'm bored with my own company just yet. I think I'm happy in my own company, but I think some people are not suited for it.
That's a healthy sign. Yeah. I mean, someone who's bored with his own company, something not good there.
yeah, but I think that just some people like being with people, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
One question that I want to ask, because you were saying that you need to concentrate while riding. What's the total weight of the equipment? The bike and the luggage?
When I with the bike and the water, I think I've got 4 litres of water with me, and if I have a full bag of food, it's in the region of 45 to 50 kilograms for the bike. All my luggage, yeah. Food and water.
50 kilograms.
When I was in France, we weighed it. I was staying with a Warm Showers host, and he had a bike scales, and we weighed everything, and it was in the region of 45 and 50 kilograms.
Because that's a really thing to concentrate on when you're riding it. It's not as easy with a 10 kilograms bike.
You do get used to it. It's not as bad as you think, but it's still heavy. And then when it rains, and then I can just hide.
Switch it.
And then plug it in, and then it's charging. And then that charges the lights as well. I have a light, and then the light to the back. I try and ride the bike without the bags on. I can't ride it straight. It's the complete opposite. It's mad. So I've got so used to it. Yeah, I've got so used to having the weight on the front wheel that if I ride the bike without weight on the front wheel now, it's how I was the first day I was riding with the weight on the front wheel. It's really, really funny. So when I go home and start riding my road bike again, it's going to feel so different.
Oh, you have a road bike.
Yeah, it's gonna be that's gonna be different when I get home.
People will also wave at you again.
Yeah.
Seeing you that.
I hope when I go home though, I want this trip to hopefully I've got power in my legs now for when I go home I can ride better on my race bike.
Probably you will start racing. This kind of endurance.
But it's like a different type of power, I think, because it's you're not doing explosive power. It's more just the just used to riding all day, every day.
When you're gonna get back on your road bike, GCM is gonna talk about you.
Yeah, that's funny. Is cycling popular in Romania?
Well, it's not an exact answer to this. I mean, I can't say, but surely it gets more popular year by year.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't. I don't know the numbers or stuff, but it definitely is getting way much better than a few years ago. We still we still have problems in the cities with very crowded because of the cars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of space for improving.
Mm.
I mean, moving from the car to the bike.
Yes.
Such as in Netherlands, and where they understand that bike can be really useful to commute.
The roads in Romania, I think, have been good, but they're just small. So there's the road for one car on either side, but there's no, as in you said, then it's just the tarmac has stopped, and there's no there's no sort of like road extra on the side, which is it's hard. And then because the drivers also have no patience, I think, as in some people just they are decided they're going to overtake, and there's no stopping to say, oh, I'll just wait until a car comes past. They go, no, we're going.
Yes.
And they come so close sometimes. It's just like, close your eyes and just go.
Did it happen in the other countries?
In Hungary, but in Hungary the roads were quite bad in Hungary, I found, and then you cross into Romania, and the roads were much better, but the drivers are the same in Hungary and Romania.
And until Hungary, in France, in Switzerland, and
so
Germany?
The drivers in France and Germany and Switzerland and Austria were excellent, but at the same time, I was on a cycle path or a cycle designated road almost the entire way through France and Switzerland and Germany. They are just, as in there is segregated lanes all the way through Switzerland. Germany was almost as good. In Austria, I was just following the Danube path, which is a segregated cycle path for a large majority of it. So when you are on the roads, the drivers are really good. I found.
I'm also thinking now that you've met a lot of cycling people on your road.
Not really.
Velocities?
No, hardly. As in, I met one English couple when I left Vienna. I met an young English couple about our age, and I rode with them from Vienna to Bratislava in the day we left Vienna, but they have carried on the Eurovelo 6 through Hungary down into Serbia. But I left them. I only rode with them for one day, and then we said farewell.
Couldn't keep the rhythm. Oh, Gavin!
It was because I did wanted to go a different route, and I said we were going at different paces as well. But apart from that, I haven't. I thought that I would meet loads of people, but I think through the section from Passau to Vienna, there was lots of elderly couples doing it, but they have time and they were going slower. which is but as in not to the point that that would stop and chat to them. As in you'd speak to a few, but most people are just having their own sort of journey.
You are really tired of speaking with hosts.
I honestly don't mind. I really don't mind. When I bumped into this English couple, it was funny because they had taken the same wrong turn I had, and I just said hello, and the first thing they said back to me was hello, and then we just heard that we were both English. We just knew it, and then you go, hang on a minute, where are you going? Are you going to Bratislava? And they were like, yeah, we're going to Bratislava, and they had looked on their map and stopped because they realised that they had gone too far, and then they said, do you know if the path goes this way? And I said, I think so. And they said, no, there's a bridge back there. So if I hadn't stopped and talked to them, I'd have just carried on going down the wrong path. So I was really lucky I bumped into them at that exact moment. And they were really nice.
Being social can be helpful.
But the route that I have taken hasn't really been a very popular cyclo-tourist route through Europe, because through France I wasn't on Eurovelo 6 in France, and in Switzerland they have the national cycle routes in Switzerland, but maybe it was too early in the year, but there wasn't anyone else on them when I was there. Not cyclotourist as such. There was people obviously cycling around, but and some people are interested in your journey, but it hasn't been until in Hungary there wasn't, no one really stopped me. It's not until the last 2 days in Romania that people have actively tried to talk to me and want to know why I'm here with a bike in their country and what I'm doing, and that's not in a bad way. That's in a what are you doing? Which is funny, and I'm surprised that it's taken until now for people to be curious. Yeah.
So until now, nobody.
Honestly, yeah. It's so strange how I crossed into Romania and all of a sudden some people beat the horn and give you a wave.
Yes.
The children wave at you. It's funny. Not anywhere has it really happened until now. I don't know if it's because when you go on Eurovelo 6, I think it's quite a very popular route in the summertime. So maybe through sections of that they're so used to seeing people with bicycles. But then I think this section because I've come into Timișoara and down to here, I don't think many people would be cycling. As in maybe a few, but not. As in Eurovelo 6, I think has thousands of cyclists a year, whereas maybe only a handful of cyclists would ever come in this route now.
Yes. Only the people who are going to Istanbul.
yeah, exactly. The people. I think most people stop in Vienna or Budapest. Budapest is the sort of final destination, and from Budapest, I think if people would then just continue following the Danube down into Serbia, rather than where is it? Yeah, they would go from Budapest to Subotica, I think it is. Down into down and follow the Danube down here. Actually borders. I think is that the Danube there? But I think it borders Croatia.
Yes.
Yeah. So you might then maybe it goes into Croatia for parts of it. But I do think Serbia and down into Belgrade and then across. I think parts of Serbia is meant to be really, really nice country though. I've just keeping this side of the border, just heading towards Sofia.
Well, we are glad to host you.
That's fine. It's just I thought you'd be pleased to know. And that's not just saying it just because I'm here. It's generally the truth.
But, until now, we discussed and we looked at this whole map and all the places that you've already visited and the ones that you are heading to, And I'm thinking that we are this small town and you are right here. So we are glad to have.
It's like I've never even heard of Rashida before. This is until you look on a map and you think, oh, I'll go there.
As we talked before, that's what happens when you go when you cyclo-touring by yourself. You meet the people the right way rather than going on holiday.
Yes.
And then get to go up. So today we are heading towards Moldova, on the border with Serbia, and been treated to a nice climb instantly.
The warm-up.
There's no warm-up, this is the warm-up. 1 kilometer in and straight uphill.
We know that you missed those hills
We missed the hills
in the last days.
Last 3 weeks have been flat. And then yesterday, hilly to here, and then
After you left Switzerland, you were thinking, oh, can't wait to get to Romania.
and then you missed the hills. It's nice.
Gavin, he's 28.
Yeah.
And you are a civil engineer.
Yeah, that's right. Which we realised was a
Yes, we are both. And you just took a 1-year gap.
Yes, so a sabbatical. Yeah, so I still have my job available.
Sabbatical year.
Yeah, so I still have a job to go back to, and I have
sabbatical year should be after 7 years, right?
Yeah, I'm not getting paid for it. As in, they just all they're saying is that they're keeping a job open for me to return to.
They understand.
So they
the stage in their life.
Yeah, so which is good because they could also just say, well, you've got to quit, and then I'll have to look for work. But at least I can go back I can do this with the knowledge of being safe with a job to go home to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how it is to work as an engineer in UK. What are you building?
I work on a naval base in Plymouth. So so my civil engineering role has been based in to do with the maintenance and upkeep of not the ships, but the docks that the docks that the ships are in, and some of the waterways, the waterworks of the docks. There's the walls which front onto the sea. It's actually a really large variety of work which is required where I work, but it's not. I'm not saying it's conventional civil engineering, but I haven't been designing buildings or roads as what probably the most common sort of civil engineering you might think of, or there's nothing to do with bridges. So it's just been more civil engineering in the marine environment. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm. And do you think you're gonna do another trip in the future?
On my bike? Yes, as in I think I would. I need to get my girlfriend more confident on the bike, but I think coming through some of the countries I've been through, I think, so for example Switzerland and Austria, I think would be really good countries for her to give bike touring a go, I think, because I think that would be good, because I think she
is gonna
miss. I think sometimes, not maybe not. I don't know if she feels like she's missing out, but obviously I'm here doing something which is really big, and it's I have lots of stories to tell every day, and so we're comfortable in the fact that she's happy that I'm doing something that I want to do, and at the same time she's gone travelling by herself, and it's something that she wants to do that's just different. But I would like to. I think there is a common ground that I think she could be tempted by the bike touring lifestyle, but I think it would have to start off with something more smaller, and I think that somewhere maybe in Austria or Switzerland or France even would be a good start. Where it's the pleasant countries to cycle in, and I think the main thing.
Then go to the obvious one.
I think just because they have the segregated cycle lanes, that you don't have to be on the roads with the traffic
That's
passing very
safety.
close to you.
That's really safe.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm curious to ask you about that trip that you made in New Zealand. You said that you've been when you were 18 years old.
Yeah.
You've been by yourself, and how long did you stay there?
I stayed there for 10 months.
10 months.
In the end, yeah. So I travelled the country for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 of those months I was travelling around, and then I think I worked for 5 or 6. Yeah. As in, I was in New Zealand for 9 of the months. I travelled for 4, worked for 5, but then I went to the USA for 6 weeks on the way home, and that's why it was 10 months away from home. Travelled around New Zealand, worked picking lettuces and broccoli on a farm, got some money, and then used it to then go travel some of America.
And did you made other trips like this? I mean,
by myself.
By yourself, and to go to other countries to work?
No, I haven't, because when I came back from New Zealand, I went to university. So I went to university then for 4 years, and then I've been working since university. So I've been to countries travelling, but not actually as a. This is the first time I've done solo travel since I went to New Zealand. So as in, I have experienced it before, and I'm not sort of what's the word? I'm not anxious by the thought of having to travel by myself again. So I think that's why I'm quite happy going this time. Just knowing what it was absolutely fine the last time I went, and I think if you're putting yourself out there as a solo traveller, that you are forced to talk to people, you're forced to interact with other people, unless you want to not necessarily be lonely, but as in, if you want to talk to somebody, you have to. There's no there's no way around it.
I'm thinking now that since I already did a work and travel trip, for me a bike trip around the world is coming.
Yeah. But it must have been I suppose even when I went to New Zealand for the first time, I was obviously going to a English speaking country, but then you're a Romanian.
Yes.
Going to the USA it's an English speaking country, but English not being your native language, it's, I think that is a big step, stepping out the front. That's certainly out of your comfort zone.
And you've been before the trip in New Zealand. You've been before in New Zealand?
No. That was the first time.
And how did you pick New Zealand?
Because it was the furthest one away from home.
So your mother pissed off. I want to get away. Where's the furthest?
I think I can't even remember why I chose New Zealand. I think it just has that something about it that was. It's even further than that. You need to get around the world some more.
Really?
Yeah.
More?
And then down a bit. No. Down a bit.
Here.
Yeah, and then around. No. Come down. There it is.
Wow. Sure.
I think it's the exact opposite side of the world to the.
I was thinking that it's probably not the farthest one.
No, I think it is.
I mean, I was thinking that China is farther, but no. This is definitely the.
But it's an amazing
corner of the world. Wow.
That is an amazing country.
I know that from New Zealand is a really good cycling guy. One of the top. It's Anton Cooper. He was world champion in the under 23
Okay.
category,
Mhm.
and now he's in the elite and doing really good. I know he's from here.
Yeah, as in, I mean, I think they've got I think they've got the trails there because they do the skiing in the winter, and I'm sure that in the summer the ski trails can turn easily into the mountain bike trails in the summer.
How many days took the flight?
I think, I mean,
3.
best no, as in, I think it was only 2 flights. I think it was like 7 or 8 hours to Dubai, and then I think the best part of 10 or 11 hours then from Dubai to maybe even more than that. It was it's 2 flights, but I think it's almost a day, not quite a day. So it's still a long time to be in a plane.
Wow.
But the longest one I did was from New Zealand to Los Angeles on the way back. That was because there's no land in between.
Oh yes,
You just-
that,
you just-
that was probably
That was like 14 hours, I think, something along the lines. Those that in that sort of region.
and I know that in New Zealand there are cannibals. You haven't?
I don't think I've never heard that.
You never heard?
No,
Or it used to be, or I don't know, maybe still in the, I don't know.
I don't know.
Wow,
I hope not.
this is incredible.
Yeah, when I was 18, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I just went.
It was
went there.
before the.
You think, and you think, yeah, it was before university, and I kind of did it as a bit of a last minute sort of. Because I didn't go to university straight from school, so then I just decided at the last minute.
In the holiday between the end and the start of the university, the 3
No,
months.
but yeah, because
was-
I had to do my last exams, and then the university that I wanted to go to originally, I didn't get the grades for. So because
What was it?
I wanted to go to Newcastle University, but then I didn't get the grades for
Oh,
Newcastle.
still civil.
Yes,
civil-
and then I went to Swansea University, but because I didn't get into my first choice,
You had a 1
so,
year
so
gap.
I had a 1 year gap year. So that's
okay.
so then I just decided let's go to New Zealand, and then because I could get a visa quite easy and to work and to travel. So and I knew that you could get work there. Obviously, I could speak English.
Yeah,
And
you see that we talked earlier that everything's happened for a reason.
yeah,
You didn't thought that you're gonna go to New Zealand when you failed.
exactly. And
When
you
you
think
fail
I had
getting
that, and you have like
exams.
one of the best years of your ever.
Yeah.
And I mean, in hindsight, I think I'd love to have seen parts of Asia in that year, but because I hadn't necessarily done loads of research before leaving, and I could have done some travelling through Asia then, but it doesn't really matter. I've done that since. I've done that
just
since.
check this to see if. Oh, still working. Okay. You see, that's interesting, and I think it's gonna be useful for the people who's watching us, because in Romania, if you fail to get to university, you don't go to New Zealand. You just study harder. 1 year of study, and
Because I had my grades, I could then apply to different universities, and so I didn't have to. I didn't fail my subjects. I just set my what I thought I was going to get too high, and but it's not a problem because I still ended up going to a good university.
So the trip to New Zealand wasn't necessarily to find out what you're gonna do in your life. It was
you could say to an extent, because you was put in a position where you thought you were gonna go to university at the age of 18 and have it all sorted, and then suddenly you just went, no, you're not doing that this year. That's when I had the decision. I could either work for 1 year and earn money before, or I could do that in another country. So that's why I just went to New Zealand and worked there instead. I think it's better to do that than I had the choice of working at home or working in New Zealand, so I thought let's work in New Zealand. It's something different.
I don't know. I'm thinking now to ask you as the end of the interview. What advice do you have for I don't know, random people that are
in search of an adventure?
yes, I don't know, who are interested in this kind of traveling, or
As in,
for random people.
yeah,
basically.
advice is in, if it's something that interests you, you don't have to go, you don't have to start, do something big or really grand to begin with. You can always just open up the front door and you can just go and start with something small, because then you never know what it could turn into, because you can, for example, you could decide to spend 1 week in your own country and then get the flavour of I'd like to go, hang on a minute, I don't want to go home, and just keep on going, and you just and almost it becomes part of your daily routine, just so naturally you become used to it. So all those things that you were once scared of a week ago, you think, well, there was nothing ever to be scared of. And I think you find that a lot in life, is that the things that you were once anxious or scared of, you look back in the past, don't you, and think, why was I ever scared of that happening?
Mm-hmm. And fear
I think the world is full of nice people. I do believe that, and everywhere you go there is nice people, and people are usually always willing to help you out if you look a little bit lost.
Yes. I think that basically the fear is what's holding us
That's it.
back.
I think that's exactly it. People have fears, and I think some people have fears of being lonely, or fears of the unknown, and as in like what's going to happen if.
Well, you have no idea what's going to happen.
And until you get put into that situation, you just think about it, and then you just
and you
overcome it. You just work it out.
Yeah, because of the bad news, you tend to see it negatively.
That's correct. Yeah, and it's. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody has fears. I think even I have like those moments where you think something bad's going to happen, and then it doesn't. You know, as in like before the trip, I had nerves of what if my bike breaks, or what if what if I just don't like it, and then you just have to. I was scared to leave, essentially, that day before leaving, and you think, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do, but then 1 month later, you haven't thought that once in the last month now, and I think that's a good sign. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'd had to come to Romania, but as in the direction that I've come into Romania, as in. Somebody told me that they got bitten by a dog, when I was in France, and they said they came to Romania and they got bitten by a dog, and you think, now I've been nervous my entire trip to come to Romania in case I see a dog, and you think, it's like what? It's just kind of been clouding my thoughts the whole time, and then I've come into Romania, and it's a really nice country. As in, it's just one little thing can sort of cloud your whole preconceptions. Wow. And I think it's really nice just to show up and just be completely proved wrong. I think, yeah.
Yes. We have friendly dogs. And now, do you have any other fears now? I mean,
looking forward. It's probably more not fears is maybe not the right word, but just practicalities. As in I'm a little nervous about going into say Turkey in the summertime when it's going to be close to 40 degrees. I think that's going to be difficult. Yeah, and I'm not really too sure about fears looking forward. I haven't really thought about that too much, and I don't. Yeah, I would say I don't. Not that I can think of right now.
The good way is to not.
I think that it's just. I think it's just to keep enjoying myself. As in, if it got to a point where I thought that I'm not enjoying this any longer, then what is the point in putting yourself through cycling so much every day? Because cycling every day, it's not like it becomes easier, but it's not. It's still exercised every day, and if you didn't enjoy it, then there's no point in doing it. And I think that's when another sort of thing to realise is that you can always say stop and be content with what you've done so far.
Well, yes, I'm thinking now because that based on all the fears and everything before the start. After you start, you could have not get that long if you would have not enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So
exactly.
That's like I don't know, like an advice. Start doing something, and if you enjoy, as you said, keep going, keep doing it.
And if not,
if
then
not,
at least you've tried it, and I think
you don't have the regret.
Yeah, exactly as in you don't have that regret of what could have been. Exactly as you said.
There's a movie called What If. Yep, that's what I was thinking also. How would it be in all those countries?
Who knows? As in, it's a completely different world. That, as in, I think it's difficult to ever really know unless you go there.
Let's see how many there are with Stan. So we have Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan,
Tajikistan,
Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan,
Kazakhstan.
How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7?
I think there's 7. Yeah.
7. The Stans brothers. Do you know if you need the
visas? Yeah, I think I need.
You've made some research.
Yeah, as in I think I need a visa for. As in I need a visa for Turkey. I need a visa for. I think I need a visa for Georgia and Azerbaijan, and as in I don't think they're not difficult to get. I think I just apply online, and I think with I think a lot of these countries that are. I just apply online beforehand. I don't think I need to have a stamp in my passport before I arrive. I'm not. I think I need to do some more research because I'm not. This isn't an advice giving session.
I have some friends who have been in Georgia, so I'm gonna ask them.
I don't know if it's different with a Romanian passport to a British passport. There might be some differences, but probably not.
Good. So in order to close this, the advice is simple. Just start doing something. If you enjoy it, continue. If not, at least you've tried and you can get back. It's that's it from Gavin.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Cheers.
We wish you a good trip along, and hope everything will be fine. And maybe you will send us a video after the whole trip, after the Pami Road and everything. When you get home, we will definitely get in touch.
Yeah.
Goodbye, fellas. How do I say in the UK, like, au revoir?
Would you say goodbye? See you later.
Goodbye, mate.
See you, mate.
Well, what was your biggest fear when you get into Romania?
Oh, the dogs.
The dogs.
I thought somebody told me that there was... well, he got bitten by a dog. And I just thought there was going to be dogs everywhere.
Biting you.
Do you know
some British meat.
Do you know what's funny? In my bag here, somebody said, put rocks in your bag, so I have a bag of rocks in here.
That's why it's so. That's why it's so heavy. From the 50 kilograms of weight, 10 are rocks.